Hello and welcome to People's View, the panel discussion. I'm Carl Seidel, four-term representative, and
I'm Don LeBrun, former representative, former alderman, and now serving on the Board of Medicine for the state of New Hampshire.
so he's still busy. He's
I'm
still
still
active.
busy.
Well, we got through everything, and the vetoes were done. The budget was filled, formed and accepted, but I don't think anybody is completely happy with it.
I'm certainly not completely happy.
Yeah, so it's going to work its way out, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And we understand that some of the legislation that was vetoed is probably being brought up again for the next year.
It will be. Some of it will.
There's a lot of that going, but
Yeah.
and I also understand that there's still two more bills that may be vetoed. Is that I didn't realize that.
I've not heard that.
Okay, I heard
Do you know
something.
what the subject matter is?
No, I didn't bother asking. I says, "Oh, the heck with
It's been so many of them. Who
That's
cares?
right. Yeah.
I
So-
care.
So it's we'll find out what that is, but pretty soon. It was I thought the vetoes were very effective because there were a number of things in there that were just bad
Oh, yeah.
legislation. Just
Yeah, I
bad.
just felt that the process that the governor used to weed out the bad parts of the budget, I thought that was wrong. I thought he should have been more open with it instead of so much secrecy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I don't know what the reason was for that.
Yeah, it was nobody worked together really. There
No.
were three different bodies there, and
There were people left out.
yeah,
I mean, there
completely.
were some people that should have been in there in negotiations that were just simply ignored.
Yeah,
And I didn't think that was right.
no.
I've never seen it done that way before.
No, that was you mean the group's committee of committees that were held at the end of the.
No, I mean,
yes.
the budget negotiations
Oh, the
when
budget, yeah, that's right.
floor leaders and not speakers, majority leaders and
Right.
minority leaders and whatnot were excluded.
Oh,
The the governor sort of went on his own in negotiating it, with just a very few others, such as the Senate president and Senate majority leader,
yeah.
and a few of those.
Well, that's the Democrats that you're talking about that were participating in essentially.
Well, it was
negotiating.
overwhelmingly Democrats.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can get something better and maybe solve this unbalance a little bit more next year.
Yeah, that's always a problem. I don't care who's in the majority,
Yeah.
but I like for it to be sort of close. You know, if you got 400 representatives, if it's 180 to 220, something
Yeah.
like that, I mean, even something like that is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's overwhelmingly one side or the other, like here in Nashua with the Aldermanic Council,
Yeah.
nothing gets done.
Yeah.
Nothing really productive gets done.
That's that's a thing with we're going to run into the election coming up,
Yeah.
and we have a number of people that are running for that, and I think people ought to look at that. While it's nonpartisan, supposedly, everybody really knows the background of the
Yeah.
people running, and I think that our audience, if they don't know, ought to talk to whoever is running and find out. We're trying to do interviews with people that are running, and so that it could be something that they could pick up. But not everybody has come in and asked for an interview, and there's a lot of people
Yeah,
out there.
and that's much different than when you and I were running.
Yeah,
I mean, we were looking for places to go. We were looking for places to talk to people and promote ourselves. But it doesn't seem to be that way anymore.
no.
I don't know what the philosophy is, what people are thinking, that they don't have to campaign or they don't have to put themselves out there and say what their platform is. It just doesn't seem to happen anymore.
It's something that people aren't demanding either, though,
No.
and
But our whole
that
political
bothers
system
me.
is in a state of chaos right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's local, if it's municipal, city, county, national, or what it is. The entire political system just seems to be at each other's throats. When are
Remember-
we going to put away the R's and the D's
Yeah.
and look at people for what they are. And when are we going to stop taking an R or a D and saying somebody's got to tell me what my platform is?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm an individual. I know what my platform is. I can put it out to people, and if they like me, they vote for me.
Yeah.
If they don't vote for me. That's the way the system should work.
Well, I agree with you. That's it's hard to get that across to people. I remember back in 2010, Don, when we had some debates and stuff,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
nobody wants to do that anymore.
Well, the debates are rigged anymore, Carl.
Well,
There's not a fair debate that goes on anymore. The League of Women Voters,
Yeah.
that is one of the most biased debates you could ever take
oh
part
really? I haven't listened to them.
in. I've been in it.
Uh-huh.
I know what they do. I know how they work.
Oh,
And it's totally biased.
really? That's
Yeah.
a shame.
Yeah.
Are there any other groups that have some kind of debates or some attempt?
There are other groups, not as prominent as the League of Women Voters. That's usually the biggest debate that goes on. But nevertheless, it's got to be neutral. You know, I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's about getting your information out there and who you are, what you intend to do, what you would like to see done, and finding out from your constituents what they would want you to do.
Sure.
That doesn't seem to happen anymore.
You think the newspapers would do anything to promote that?
Well, it would be nice if we had a newspaper in Nashua. We certainly don't have anything. This newspaper belongs on the checkout aisle in the end slot on the checkout aisle in the supermarket. That's where this rag belongs.
Well, hopefully people learned from our meetings here a little bit about some of the people that are running.
Yeah.
We don't have all the people, but some of the
But
people.
we have
will.
to get those people to come in.
Yeah.
You know, bring them in, Republicans and Democrats alike. Let the people listen to them. Let the people decide. That's what elections are.
Well, it's going to be something because there are things that's in this city, in my mind, that have to be discussed. I will be having the superintendent of schools on next week and talking about
Good luck with that.
talking about the strategic plan and the test scores, as well as whatever else he wants to bring in. But those are making the newspaper. And then for the aldermen and stuff, this thing about the assessment department and
Yeah.
everything and how that's going,
Yeah.
and the report that was done by Laurie
Orlando. Yeah.
that had several accusations in there that really should be solved and should be open, transparent to the people.
Absolutely.
I don't know if there's any other problems within this in there.
Well, we lost $4 million
Yeah.
when we sold the Burke Street property.
Oh yeah.
You know,
yeah.
we bought it for 11, sold it for 7.
That
Big-
was that
good
was
deal, man.
That
I'm
was
telling
that
you.
was a dirty.
I don't know. And I haven't heard too much more about the art center.
No, that's they still have to get $5 million?
$4 million.
$4 million.
Yeah.
To get started.
Got to get $4 million before they can even begin to do anything.
At least they came out with a picture of what it's supposed to look like. That's
Oh,
the
yeah,
first time I
yeah.
saw that.
Yeah,
And,
we've used spent a couple $100,000 now on consultants.
Yeah. Well.
You know, so the consultants are doing well in Nashua. You know,
Well,
hey,
Nashua can be a leading city. They have a lot of assets to use.
They do.
And I'm not too
the
sure.
problem is they're not using them right.
Yeah.
They're not using them beneficially.
Well, they ought to take advantage of the river as far as I'm concerned, both the Nashua River and the Merrimack. And they can come up with, because some of the other towns are doing that already. They're going to have something smaller, but we could have something real large. And, Lowell uses the Merrimack for
Yeah, they do.
several different things.
Yeah,
that they
down along the
have.
boulevard there and
Right,
everything.
right,
That's
right,
yeah, it's
right.
nice.
And they have a rental during the summer where Lowell students actually teach people how to sail. little sailboats. that
Yeah, I know
they
they've
had.
got the boat
Yeah.
dock down there and got the
Yeah.
boathouse, all that and everything. And that's neat. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to do things like that.
Right.
But it seems like the current makeup of the Aldermanic Council is, I hate to keep saying it, but it's a puppet show. You've got the ringmaster in the middle with the paddle, and you
Yeah.
got the strings out to all the aldermen, and it depends on which one he pulls his string on, This is what we're going to do. Oh, yes, Mr. Mayor, that's exactly what we're going to do. And that's what I mean. You need a balance.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
the only way you get beneficial things done is to have a balance.
And
And that goes for Republicans and
Yeah,
Democrats.
yeah.
If it was all Republicans, it
Yeah.
would be the same thing.
yeah,
You'd have a
mix,
Republican
yeah.
puppeteer.
You need a mix. I agree with you
Absolutely.
there. To at least start
Absolutely.
discussions, if nothing else.
Yes.
And discussions, you should have more time for
Yeah.
discussions too.
Yeah.
One of my questions to the superintendent's going to be, how come the board has only one full meeting a month? Why not two?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got a lot of things to
Yeah,
talk
bi-weekly,
about.
yeah.
And you got a lot of plans, and you got no money.
And you got a lot of problems that
That's
need to be
right.
resolved. And
That's
once a
right.
month won't do it.
That's right. You got to have it out. Have them. Don't try to hide anything. Try to bring it out. We have a problem here.
Right.
We're working on it, and this is what we're trying to try.
How do you solve a problem if the problem doesn't come forth
Right.
and you don't bear the problem?
And you can get other people's ideas. Maybe they'll come up
course.
with something that you might try sometime.
And you might get more people to attend
Right.
that will speak up and give you ideas or present solutions to the problems.
Right.
When you're in the military, you go to the commanding officer and you say, "Sir, I have a problem." He's just going to look at you until you say, "I have a solution." Because if
That's
you
right.
don't have a solution, you better not come to him with a problem.
All right. Right.
And that's the way it works.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right, Don. We need to have more activity, more people.
Absolutely. More interaction.
Yeah, and more
Yeah.
people demanding something from
Yes.
the people, from the
Yeah.
elected people.
Yeah. And that also goes for our national government.
Yeah,
It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
same thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's getting done in Washington now?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
All right.
I mean, all they're doing is bickering back and forth with each other and blaming each other for everything under the sun.
right.
And if that doesn't work, we'll find something else to blame somebody
Right.
for.
Yeah.
And there again, it's Republicans and Democrats alike.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, the people's work's not getting done.
Yeah. That's true. They're wasting the money.
A lot of money. A lot of money.
Yeah, we got to do something about that little balance on our on the what we owe, our debt.
Oh, yeah. My golly. It's just getting out
Yeah,
of control and
that's
gigantic.
Remember when we used to talk about billion here and a billion there? Now it's
yeah.
a trillion here
Yeah,
and a
now
trillion
it's trillions
there.
and soon it'll be quadrillions, I guess. I don't know.
Well, let's hope that the economy keeps
The
going.
only
'cause
thing I
then-
can say that money was well spent on was rebuilding the military.
Yeah,
That cost close to $1 trillion. But in today's world, you've got to have a strong military.
Oh, yeah.
And hope you don't have to use it, but it's got to
Right.
be there.
yeah.
You can't build it on the run.
There's a lot of little fires going on,
You bet there is.
and well, hopefully we can see some solutions to that coming out. Well, let's talk a little bit more about what can happen.
Excuse me.
What's going to happen in New Hampshire? I mean, these elections for the local offices are very important. That's where you start.
Yeah.
That's look at some local problems and solve those. So people ought to be asking of all those candidates that are running for alderman or running for the Board of Education or whatever other office, even the offices, the placements for the people that are working on the election.
Mm-hmm.
Those people ought to be questioned and see why, what they want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they have ideas how to run the actual election day a little bit better
Yeah.
and a little bit more effectively.
But more than anything, we need, there's a lot of good people that have a lot of good ideas and can do a lot of good things, good, real go-getters, but they're not stepping forward.
Right.
And that's what we need. We need good, solid candidates. Again, on both sides, we need good, solid candidates because as it is now, you've got too many candidates that are looking at Well, I'm a representative. Look, I got a badge. I got
Yeah.
a badge with my name on it. I'm a representative. But I'm not going to do anything. You know,
Yeah.
you expect me to do what?
Well, right, right. Well, the same
And
thing with
that's-
the
that's just
aldermen
changed.
too. I mean, they're very important.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
they should be working on some of the problems
Every
here.
elected office is extremely important, or
Right.
it wouldn't be there.
They're the board of directors for the mayor and the administration. And so everybody ought to be looking at that and making sure that it operates the way it should be operating.
And there again, we shouldn't have a mayor running unopposed.
Yeah, definitely.
We should never have anyone running unopposed. And I can't say it enough, Democrat or Republican, I don't care.
Yeah,
But there should always be that debate between more than one candidate. It's,
and have it, you know, in the open so people can hear them.
Yeah.
Talk them, you know.
oh, yeah.
So, well,
Yeah.
what do you think that the biggest thing in the local for Nashua, is it the budget or is it the
Yeah, well, the
something
biggest
else?
thing's always the budget.
Yeah.
It's always the budget.
Uh-huh.
You just, you know, every budget that comes down, you were chairman of the county. I was chairman of the county. You know how the budgets come in, they're full of fat.
Yeah, right.
You got to weed out the fat.
Right, right.
And there's always probably 10% proposed fat in every budget that comes in. And they know that they've put that in there, and they're hoping that you don't notice it. But that's the job you're supposed to do. You're supposed to look and notice those things and cut it out
Right, and notice the
for
things.
the good of the people,
at
to
the-
keep their property taxes low.
That's right. That's one
Yeah.
very important thing. But you can look at the end of the year. How many millions of dollars was still left over in the county and the city budget this year? There's several
Yeah,
million
I don't
dollars.
remember the number.
Yeah, but then they had to use it for some emergencies that they found out they needed money in.
Yeah.
And I think the
That's
other
called think ahead.
yeah, a little bit. And we ought to think ahead, too, in what we're going to do with the schools. I mean, that's a big issue. They have 3 junior high schools, if you call them that, or middle schools,
Middle schools,
that
yeah.
they're looking to reorganize, and one of them has to be replaced.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, I don't know what they're thinking about, but I suggest that they might think of converting that to housing for some of the homeless. That they can, you know, work that. It's a building that's still structurally sound, but not for
Right,
not
right.
for a.
But a lot of
uh,
renovation, even to make it into housing of any
apartments.
sort.
Yeah, but
Lot of renovation.
it's still a little bit less expensive than
Yeah.
building a new one.
But you can't just put up portable walls.
No,
That
no,
doesn't
no,
work.
No, you can't do that. No, but you can turn those classrooms into apartments,
Oh, yeah.
and it shouldn't be that hard. I know I lived in Chelmsford, Massachusetts for a long time, and the original high school, which was in the center of town, is now an apartment building. They actually took part of it for the new city hall too, which was an old building too that was built 200 years ago or something. You know, people were worried about it for a while because they thought, well, the elderly people don't want it all next to all the athletic fields because there's 3 little league fields right out there in front. And no, they enjoy going down and seeing the kids
I would
play.
think they could. And the homeless, are the homeless going to complain?
Yeah.
If they're sleeping on the street and they're going to have a place to sleep, they going to care if there's a
Yeah.
little league ball game going on?
Right,
I don't
right.
think so. I was in Boston a couple of weeks ago, right on Boylston Street, within spitting distance of Fenway Park.
Oh yeah.
And I went into this building, this apartment building, subsidized housing, and this room, you could probably get 3 apartments
Really?
the size of what was in Boston.
Ah,
But they're functional. There's people living in them that had no other choice.
yeah, yeah.
You know, and it's working perfectly for them. They're happy. It doesn't have to be a huge 2-bedroom, 3-bath, whatever.
Right, right. You're not doing it for. You're doing it as
You're doing
hopefully
it to get people off the street.
right, and hopefully temporary.
Yeah.
You know, give them a chance to get their feet out of the ground and get a job and get a little bit of more income and or solving some of their bad habits.
Right. Make them feel good.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, feel good about themselves. Look,
Right.
I've got this place. It may not be the greatest. It may not be the largest, but boy, it's a start.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
can-
and people, you know, that energizes people to help themselves and to go out and try to better themselves. But if you've got a person sitting living on the street, what incentive does he have?
yeah, yeah.
There's no incentive whatsoever.
Right. No.
You know, everything looks down from there. It can only get worse.
Well, I agree with you. I just wonder if we have enough initiative to take those things on. You know.
I'm not sure we do.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we do. Not under the current structure. I just don't think the incentive is there to do any more than talk about it. And there is talk that goes on about it, but nothing gets done. Year after year after year, they talk about it.
What do you think could initiate a little bit more ambition to try some of these things out? Is there a way of getting the people's voice heard?
I think we have to go back to the times when people actually cared about other people.
Ah,
Right now, for the most part, people don't care that much about other people. They all have their own little space.
Yeah.
Stay out of my space.
Yeah.
You've got yours, I've got mine. There's no real interaction.
Hmm.
I was born and raised in the South.
yeah.
And the good old days when you would walk down the street, you see your neighbor doing something, you say, "Hey, neighbor, what are you doing? Can I help you with anything?"
Yeah.
You try to find that today. I
If-
mean,
it's
people
very
turn the
rare.
other way and turn their head like they don't see their neighbor falling off the ladder. or they got their phone out taking a picture of him
Oh,
falling.
yeah. See how many people keep on keep it alive too.
Yeah.
Well, Don, I don't know. We have to keep up trying, though.
Oh, we can never give up.
Yeah,
Never give up.
Well-
We can hope for things to change.
yeah,
But right now, the states and the country are just in a state of chaos. There's demonstrations going on about everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, instead of going out on a street corner and demonstrating, find people that can come together into a room and sit across the table from each other and solve the problems.
Mm-hmm.
Demonstrations don't solve anything. They don't solve a thing.
no.
All they do really is turn more people against it.
Well, it gets people's face in the news somehow. That's
Well,
about
they don't
it.
even want their face in the news. They're all masked and everything else
yeah.
now.
Well, that's depending on what they're going for.
Yeah, well, they want to be able to smack a cop in the side of the head without anybody knowing who did it.
That's something else.
Yeah.
Well, Don, we can try. We'll keep on doing it with the People's View for one thing. I'm glad that you're one of the people that's willing to participate. So, but people out there in the audience, if you want to participate a little bit more in this show or come out with a discussion on some topic you think that the city should pay attention to, please let me know. My number is 400-1430, and if I'm not there, leave a message. I'll get back to you. And Don,
Cool.
you have want to give a contact to or not?
Oh, I can be reached at urbanod@hotmail.com.
Okay.
Anytime. As far as the telephone, I'm not going to be one taking the pictures because my phone's never turned on. It's in my pocket, but I don't even turn it on, so don't try to call me.
Okay.
But I'll
okay.
certainly answer your email. I answered all my emails when I was a representative, when I was an alderman. If somebody sent me an email, I got back to them. And a lot of times I stopped by their house and talked to them.
Oh, that's good.
And that's the way I did things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we do try to get, work with our constituents, but we have to know what they want, what they're
Yeah.
looking for, what's important to
Yeah,
them.
but you've got to be open for them to contact
Yeah,
you, and
yeah.
so they can tell you what they want.
Yeah, yeah,
And you're not always going to agree.
no,
I certainly was not going to do something that I thought the majority of the people didn't want me to do just because one person did. I tried to reason with that person and explain to him, well, you're really in the minority on that, drastically in the
Right,
minority,
right, yeah.
and I don't think we can do that.
yeah.
And that's what people elect you for, to be their spokesman.
Well, we're going to have a number of contentious items, I'm sure. They're looking now at sports betting. that
Yeah,
they found.
yeah.
They're looking at marijuana some way, and I think what most of those things that were vetoed really weren't written right. You know?
And that's usually the case.
Right.
If a lot of times people look at the subject of a bill and they say, "Oh, I'm all for that,"
Yeah.
but unless you read the fine print of the bill and see what else is in there and how it's implemented and everything else, a lot of times it's just a bad bill
Yeah.
and
yeah.
has to be redone.
And the problem I see too, and it's one thing that I participated in was that marijuana commission. They come out with a 60-some page summary of all the things we found. And what we tried to look at, because there were a lot of people that were pro and a lot of people that were con on that issue, but what we structured is something that if you're going to do with it, this is what you have to include in the legislation. People aren't reading that. That was a
Right.
how-to piece of document that
Yeah.
would help you if you really wanted to push something in that
Yeah.
area, depending on how you wanted to face it. But there's no infrastructure built up for it, for the state to handle the things that the state usually handles for safety reasons, if nothing else.
And there again, everything that passes, there's always a little sidebar to it.
Right.
Every department, whenever a new law is passed, whatever department it affects, the first thing they come in wanting, we need staff.
Yeah.
We've got to have more staff. But yet if you go to that department and walk through that department, you see people sitting around twiddling their thumbs, don't know what to do with themselves, but we need more staff to implement that.
There needs to be a little bit of management.
There needs to be a lot of
business
management, especially in the Department of Health and Human Services.
Right. The largest one taking 40% of our budget, right? Or
47%.
47 now.
Oh, yeah, 47%. And it may even be a little more than that now. I don't know.
Well, Don, we talked our way out of all these problems. Now we got to
And we solved nothing.
Well, hopefully we'll get some
but we
people
can keep
who
trying.
can solve
We
it.
can keep trying.
That's it. Thank you
But
very much, Don.
Thank you, Carl.